entertaining and informative. The Live by Design Inspiration Radio, brought to you by lbsuccess.com. This is your weekly show that leaves you motivated and ready to take action so you can create the life and business of your dreams. Now, here's your host, Nancy Gathecha.
Hello and welcome to Live by Design Inspiration Radio. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Nancy Gathecha, and today we have episode number 13. We have an interview, and our guest is an authentic leadership coach. She's a speaker and a regular contributor to CNN. She consults with Fortune 500 companies, and her work has been featured on Fox News, CBS, NBC, among others. So we are going to have a great episode, and I'm so glad that you tuned in. Well, on today's show, we have the wonderful Karlyn Henderson, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, it is?
Correct.
Lovely. Thank you so much, Karlyn, for coming on the call.
It is my pleasure to be here, Nancy.
All right, great. So then, let's dive into the first question is, you consult and you coach with women in leadership?
Yes, I do. I am the CEO of Poimena Consulting, and I have a passion to help women understand and own their power and really manage their careers.
Why do you feel, Karlyn, that women actually need coaching or they need some support?
What I have found in the marketplace is that there is an assumption that women know what to do. And when I worked in corporate America, I worked for the Coca-Cola Company and SunTrust Banks. And I discovered when I recruited a coach, there was just an assumption that I knew certain things. And it's just like, well, how could I know it if someone doesn't tell me? It's that women need that coaching because there's just an assumption that they know what to do in the marketplace.
That's really true. We're used to juggling our families and our careers, and in a mainly male-dominated marketplace or corporate world, that's true that women need some support in how to get around that. Now, you have a book coming up. I believe it's called Own Your Authentic Power.
Correct. Own Your Authentic Power Now.
Karlyn, why authentic?
I have attended multitudes of leadership classes, and I actually have a master's degree in organizational leadership, and no one leads the exact same way. So I put in authentic because it allows you to be the leader that you need to be. Of course, you can understand the semantics around leadership, but when you lead, you're bringing not only your skill set, but you're bringing your personal experiences. Everyone's life experiences are different. And so it makes you authentic as to what you bring to the table when you are leading based upon the individual.
And how did you actually come up with the concept of owning your authentic power now?
I conducted a survey a few years ago, and I had various topics for women leaders. And the number one topic was owning your power. Women were thinking, yeah, I know I need to own it, but what is it? And so that's how I really came up with that topic, because I really found that women needed to know what it was, and they wanted to know, and then they wanted to own it as well.
Which is the next question, Karlyn. What is then owning your authentic power? What is that exactly?
Power is a multifaceted concept. It can be felt. It's neither good or bad. How a leader uses power makes a difference of how it is impacted with those who are following. So I define authentic power as the genuine ability for a leader to positively and positionally influence others' attitudes and behaviors, a specific result or goal.
Okay. Okay, I wouldn't try to repeat it. It sounds really good. So during the interview a little bit later, I'll ask you to, break that down for us in a way that we can identify with it. And Karlyn, you've been featured in places like NBC or Fox, and you're a contributor to CNN. And you've also consulted with Fortune 1000 companies, and from, your past experience. What are some challenges that you've seen women going through as far as owning their authentic power is in this kind of organizations that are very male-driven or very male-dominated?
One of the challenges, or some of the challenges that I find, is that, one, women, again, do not know what power is, and it's not about exhorting or forcing yourself upon someone else. Of course, that is abuse. But understanding that when women are in leadership roles, Authentic power can be in a place where they have to understand what's available to them. Authentic power has 6 different components, and I'll go through those quickly. It's about position, it's reward,
yes,
correction, personal, expertise, and character, and spiritual as well. So those are the 6 areas that I look at. And for example, one way that women can own their power is through their expertise. Whatever your knowledge is, whether you are an RN or the CEO of a small business or you are the VP in the bank, that knowledge that you have is power. We commonly know the phrase knowledge is power, and it is just that. It is your special power that you can execute and being a leader.
Do you feel that women sometimes downplay their knowledge?
I think they do, because there is a risk that when we come forward and show that what we know, sometimes we get the label bossy, versus men, they become knowledgeable. They have a wealth of knowledge. So there's a double standard.
That's very true. And is there like a kind of a secret to owning your power that women can, we can tap into?
I believe the insider secret is to, one, know what power is so that you can own it based upon where you are in your leadership. As I mentioned, it could be based upon your position, your expertise, your personal character, or your spiritual level. Any of these areas or a combination of these areas could help you own your power.
Karlyn, you said one of the ways that women don't own their power is by downplaying their knowledge. And I'm an African, I'm from Kenya, and there's this old men-women roles, and today things have changed. And women are also, wearing their pinstripe suits and are also able to take positions that previously only men took those positions. And then there's the fear, as you said, the woman would look like she's bossy. So there's a kind of a fear of rejection there. According to your signature system, or the book that's coming, how to own your authentic power now, how can women actually step out? How can they step up and get over that fear of rejection? Can you shed some light on that?
Yes, let me back up just a second. POWER is an acronym that I do have in my system in the book. And quickly, P is for pursue authentic power. O is optimize opportunities. W is watch out for the power zappers. E is exercise your power skills. And R is risk it. So to watch out for the power zappers, that is really key for us, because there are always things that are in our lives that just zap the power out of us. So one, of course, could be fear, because we know that we have that expert knowledge, or we have that position of leadership, and we don't step up to the plate, or we don't know how to do so. So those are some of the power zappers. And then, unfortunately, we have those in our community who say, oh, girl, you can't do that, or maybe you shouldn't do that, or no, you should be worried about what people think about you. Those are people who are zapping the power and the life are out of us. And so those are some of the things that we need to be mindful of as far as W, watch out for the power zappers.
That's really good. I read something that you wrote, I believe it was a quote you wrote in December 2013, where you said something about stop trying to take people with you. And that fits in so well to what you've just said now, that there are people who say, girl, you can't do that, and what are people going to say about you? I found that quote really interesting. When you want to step out, you cannot take everybody with you. So according to your owning your authentic power now, have you always had it, or did you have situations where you had to apply it, as far as not trying to take everybody with you, especially the power zappers?
Right. Nancy, I would love to tell you that I've always owned my power, but that's just not true.
Yes, I can imagine.
I really have to learn how to own my authentic power. I'm an introvert by nature. So I'm kind of the person that is okay with sitting in the background, but then I will complain and grumble like, oh, how's that going to benefit us as a team or as a leader? So I really had to walk through the process of understanding, again, that power is a skill set. It is not for just the politicians to abuse in the marketplace or in the Senate or wherever, and I say that respectfully. There's an actual skill set that is the genuine ability of a leader to personally influence or positionally influence the attitudes and the behaviors of others so that you can reach a specific goal. So that is so important for women to know, that you can own your power in those 6 areas, either individually or in a component or a composition of those 6 areas that I had mentioned earlier. But again, to answer your question, no, I had not always owned it, but now that I understand that my expertise as being a leader, being a woman in the marketplace, all of those things, again, using the example of an expert, I realize my knowledge is valuable and I can own my power through my expertise.
That's good. That's good. Did you get some support when you were learning how to own your power, Karlyn?
You know, I did not. I wish I could say that I had that mentor. I've had mentors in my corporate life, if you will, and over time I've realized that I've had men mentors and women mentors, and they poured into me in different areas. And I realized over time, as I really start wanting to coach other women, they were like, okay, well, how do I own my power? So I kind of assess my own life and kind of map and then begin to share it with others.
That's good. I like that. Often, when we've either gone through something and we've done it really badly or we've done it really well, then we want to help other people so that they can replicate the success or don't replicate the mistakes that we made, or we can fill in a gap that maybe we experienced when we were going through a certain situation. That's really true. Karlyn, what about confidence? How does that work as far as owning your power is concerned?
That is an excellent question, because being confident is a game changer for women in the marketplace. Yes, the lack of confidence is a power zapper for women. Power zappers alone are dangerous. They are energy stealers, and they do rob women of their success. And like I said, lack of confidence or second guessing yourself, fear, all of those things are power zappers that hinder us from being successful, whether we are in corporate America or small business or making a transition in our career. Now, what I was sharing as far as lacking confidence, specifically, I was working with one client, and she was sharing that she just didn't have the confidence to go forward and talk to her manager about getting a project that would help her to be highly visible so that she can get promoted. And one of the things that I was sharing with is that write down all of the things that you think he may say or reject you about so that you can deal with what's the inadequacies within you. So we wrote those things out. She realized that there weren't any things that really were hindering her. It was really not necessarily lack of confidence, but fear. And so we did some role playing, and after that, she was able to go with her manager. There was a new project coming up in the new year. She was able to get on that project, and she's being successful right now, and I'm so proud of her.
Oh, that's great. She got some results. Wonderful. Yeah. I like the way you said that the lack of confidence can actually be a power zapper. And let me ask you, from your point of view, Karlyn, women who are working in the corporate world or even in the marketplace, there was this notion, I think maybe in the 90s or even now, that, you need to wear a pinstriped suit and have big shoulder pads and kind of look masculine. And women, we lead differently. We're feminine and we're heart-centered. So what are the benefits of women working with you as opposed to having this stereotype of, wear a suit, it makes you look authoritative, for example?
Right. Several benefits of working with me that women will incur as far as us working through the process of owning their power. One, they do gain that confidence. Two, they do understand what is power, because again, we have a stereotype in the world really that talks about, exhorting yourself over another person, and that's abuse and that's not power. Again, as I mentioned earlier, power is not good, it's not bad, it's just how a leader uses it to influence others to reach a goal. So that is the second thing. The third thing is understanding where they are in their life and understanding what are some power zappers that have kept them from moving forward. That is really key. Exercise their power skills. That is really key. Learning how to be a person of influence, because sometimes people say, oh, well, I'm in an administrative role. I'm not
Right.
in a leadership role or a management role. You still can own your power spiritually and based on your character, on
Right.
your expertise. All of these are encompassed of building your power. So they need to know how to exercise their skills. And last, they just need
Right.
to know how to risk it. It is okay to risk it because, as you have mentioned, there are expectations of us as far as wearing the pinstripe suit or wearing the high heels. And you're going to have
Right.
to risk owning power. You're going to have to step out of your comfort zone. There are going to be the
Right.
naysayers. There are going to be those who are the power zappers. They're going to come in and say what they're going to say. But you have to
Right.
take the risk of owning your power. Yes.
I love the taking the risk and stepping out, because I think I'm allergic to status quo, and there's always a little fear that's involved in stepping up or stepping out to do something different, because we've never been there before. But I believe it's also extremely energizing, and often, when we dare to step out, we surprise ourselves, and God even surprises us. I found myself oftentimes saying, why didn't I do this earlier? I guess there's a time for everything. So let me ask you then another thing. You're in business, you're a coach, a consultant, and you've worked with some really big companies. What is one of the biggest business mistakes you've made? Or let's call it, I prefer to call it either a learning experience or feedback. I don't like to use the word failure, because I believe every situation is a feedback experience. So tell us about one of the biggest feedback experience you've ever had.
Okay, that is an excellent question, Nancy. I believe one of my biggest learnings as far as being a business leader and overcoming the challenges that I had was believing in myself. That was the number one thing, that I had to really believe in myself. And that was part of my journey of understanding how to own my power, because I had to believe in my expert knowledge or my expert powers. Like, you do have great knowledge that other people will invest in and want to glean from. So that was something that I really, really had to learn, was to have that confidence in myself, have that confidence in my ability to know that I have a gift, I have brilliance to offer the world, and some people will find it valuable.
I really like that. It reminds me of the Bible verse. There was the three guys who were given talents. One was given 5,
Yes.
the other one 3, and the other one 1. No,
Yes.
wait a minute. I think 5, 2, and 1.
Correct.
And the one with the 1, he went and hid it. But the one with the 5, he went and multiplied that. And I love the way you said that you have talents, you have gifts that people are willing to invest in. That is so beautiful. And I believe, Karlyn, when you step out in that, when you own that like you did, and then you show up with that kind of a mindset, then the marketplace or the people reward that because they also recognize it. Is that right?
Absolutely. So that comes from that confidence and understanding who you are and what you offer, and learning not to compare myself to other people. That's another power zapper, because
That's
there are
good.
tons of power zappers. But that is another one about comparing myself. Well, I can't do it like her. I can't do it like him. I really can't. And that's why it's called being authentic, because I learn what my gifts are. I know what my talents are, and I know how I own my power to make a difference.
Oh, that's a good point about the comparison, especially women. We often suffer from that, or today with many opportunities where we look up to somebody maybe who is where we would like to be, and we think, I'll never get there. In a book I've written, I compared, we're all puzzle pieces, and every puzzle piece is different, and it has its place. So I love the way you said that comparing ourselves to people is a power zapper, because even these 3 guys who got the talents, they were given according to their ability, and that's God wires each one of us in a unique way, according to our ability, not according to what my sister has or what my neighbor has, according to our ability and the purpose that he put us on this earth for. That's a good one, believing in yourself. Thank you for sharing that. And what is a life-changing advice that you've been given?
It goes back to what I just shared, learning how to believe in yourself. Even when other people do not believe in you, when those individuals that are in your life who say, oh, well, you can't do it, or you might need to stick to the 9 to 5, or whatever the case may be, learning how to believe in yourself. And that comes as a result of self-discovery, what you bring to the table. As I mentioned earlier, what are your gifts? What are your talents? What knowledge do you possess? All of those are really, really key and for you to move forward in whatever endeavor that you choose to pursue.
That's good. Another thing, you have your book coming up in 2015, I believe it is?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have any kind of resources we can start using, something to get us started as far as owning our power is concerned?
Actually,
What?
I do. I
Mhm.
do have a coaching program that I have available. It is on my website at Poimena.com. That's Poimena.com.
Mhm.
And there is a brief, I guess, coaching program that I call I Own My Power, Confidence and Power Booster Set.
Mhm.
And there is a book that I have. It's a smaller book, and it has 58 powerful affirmations for everyday living. It is really great. One
Mhm.
of them, I can read them quickly. It's
Oh,
like, what
yes.
I want. Today I will receive what I want. What I want is deep inside. I want freedom, happiness, love. I receive these things and more. I get
Mhm.
what I want.
I like that. I'm going to get that one for myself already. Great. I'll have the website and the link to that on the show notes so that listeners can go and take advantage of that. Picking up on what you've just said, let's talk about affirmations or talk about the words that we speak over our lives. Do you think those make a difference as far as owning our power is concerned?
Absolutely, Nancy. I'm so glad you brought that up because
Mm.
our words have life. And
Mm.
so if we speak life, we have life. If we speak death and negativity, we have just that, death and negativity. So that's
Mm.
why I came up with this booklet with the 58 powerful affirmations for
Mhm.
everyday living, because sometimes we can just get in a rut and our mindset is one of negativity. But if we
Mhm.
learn how to start changing our words,
Mm.
that can make a difference in our lives. And again, that's about learning how to speak powerfully. So that's why
Mm.
I came up with this booklet with affirmations, because
Mm.
some of the women that I were coaching, they were like,
Mm.
well, how do I start? Where do I go?
Mm.
What is my
Mm.
first step? And I'm like, the first step, of course, is changing your mindset. But the second thing is, once your mind changes, then, of course, your speech changes. And so
Mm.
I came up with these different affirmations to kind of say, okay, here I am. I'm woman, hear me roar, and this is what I am roaring.
Mhm. I like that roaring. Something you just said now that change our mindset and then we change our words.
Yes.
I read once that the mind or the brain, when we speak something, it just takes that and, a process starts to happen inside of us to bring that thing to pass, whether that thing is positive or whether that thing is negative. So there's so much power, like you said, in our words. And as the Bible says, you will have what you say. Ultimately, it's not some new age woo-woo stuff. It's really proven. There's also the concept of self-fulfilling prophecy. Would you agree with that?
I agree wholeheartedly. Yes, I totally agree. That is so true. And we do have to, like I said, think about what we're thinking about.
Oh,
I know that
yes.
sounds um, kind of complicated, but we do. I do
Mm,
have a keynote topic that I talk about, abundance mindset versus scarcity mindset, and what's the
mm,
difference. And a lot of times when people are in that poverty state, you have to look about what is going on in your
mm,
life. And when you're talking about abundance,
mhm,
an abundant mindset, you're
mhm,
knowing that one key aspect is there's opportunities for everyone.
mhm,
You can
mhm,
always get a piece of the pie,
mhm,
versus a scarcity mindset talks about, well, I have to get mine, and I'm not going to worry about anybody else, or I have to get mine because it's not going to be enough to go around. And that's a
mm,
scarcity mindset, and that is a power zapper as well.
mm,
Anything that takes us from our authentic lifestyle, moving
mm,
forward, gaining our power, moving forward as far as being the best that we can be, those are all
mhm.
things that are power zappers.
That's really good. You've just gone very well into the next question, which would have been, what are, for example, 2 ways or 3 practical ways that we women give away our authentic power subconsciously, just in a very practical situation? Would you have an example for us?
That is a good question. And one of the things that comes to mind as far as what robs us from owning our authentic power, and I mentioned a couple of them before, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to mention a new one, and
Mm-hmm.
it's not letting go of the past so that we can move forward.
That's
We
good.
as women, we hold on to everything. And, he stepped on my toe last week, or my boss didn't say good morning to me. All of those
Mm,
things build up within us, and they
Mm-hmm.
hinder us, and they do rob us of our authentic power. We
Mm-hmm.
really have to learn how to let go and move forward. We can't wear our heart on our sleeve, if you will, when we are in small business. If you're trying to get a business account with a
Mm-hmm.
corporation or in the marketplace in corporate America, we
Mm-hmm.
cannot be so sensitive and take everything so personal. So that is one thing that I really find that it is hard for women to own their authentic power. It is a power zapper, and it
Mm-hmm.
is letting go to move forward.
Letting go to move forward. And how would you advise, let's say I came to you and you're coaching me and I'm working through a power zapper of, letting go, like my boss, every time I'm making a presentation, he kind of, talks down on me and I'm feeling offended. And I mean, we're women and we're very empathetic and we feel some of these things. What tip would you give to me if I came to you for coaching, for example? How can I let that go? Should I confront him? Should I ignore it? What would you advise?
I would advise first, let's deal with it within you. Are you seeing something that's really not there? We
Hmm.
know men are not the most empathetic beings on the planet.
They
So
have their own strengths, yes.
yes. So they
Yeah.
come forward and, they come in and they want to do the job. Here's things that need to be done. 1, 2, 3. Let's do it. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, again, we take it so personally that
Mm.
we have to learn how to, let's step back and look at us first.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really something personal against us, or that's how we are receiving it? Second,
Mm.
how can we reframe that situation? And again, this is personal examination long before we go to someone else, because I know sometimes we get upset and we want to go and roar in someone's face, and it's like, oh, okay, now we've made added fuel to the fire. Let's pull
Mm-hmm.
back and let's say,
Mm-hmm.
okay, how can we reframe this? Is this
Mm-hmm.
constructive feedback that maybe my manager is giving me that I
Oh,
can
that's
do
good.
better within my workplace? Or, maybe he sees something that I'm lacking in. He may not have
Mm-hmm.
said it in the best way.
Mm-hmm.
However, is that something that I can use to better myself in my work? So those are two things that I always ask people, or, my clients, to do. Look at yourself first and let's reframe what was said.
I like
Then,
that. Mm-hmm.
third, if you really need to go to that individual, let's not go in a place of anger. Let's not go in
Mm-hmm.
a place of being offensive, but let's go and say, okay, this is what I understood you to say,
Mm-hmm.
and I might feel a little abrupt. Let's be mindful of how we say things in the future. There's different scenarios, of course, that we can look at, but that's always something that I really ask women to do. If you do need to confront them, make sure that you're coming back with more feedback so that they
Mm-hmm.
can be empowered as well. We don't want
Mm-hmm.
to attack, but we do want
Mm-hmm.
to have tact.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to attack, but you do want to
Mm-hmm.
have tact.
I love the way you said, first of all, come back to, look at yourself first. So I
Yes.
believe we also give away power when we blame the other person instead of taking responsibility first of what is my role in this? Is this something about me? Which is always sometimes a scary thing because it means you have to look inside yourself. And sometimes you might find some yucky stuff in there that you really, some issues you have to work through that, at that point you are looking at the surface of things and it's easier to blame shift and that's really very helpful. Start with you. Karlyn, on the show or when I tell stories, I normally have something called the E.A.D moment, and which is often we hear some great information and then we're inspired as a result of that information. But I believe that when we get the inspiration, then we have to apply it to see some transformation in our lives. After hearing something great or watching or reading a great book, the next step of taking action, I call it the E.A.D moment. Inspiration plus application results in the transformation that we desire. So what are 3 steps that women can take or listeners can take this week to begin exercising their authentic power in personal and professional settings?
3 quick tips. Understand what is authentic power. It is the genuine ability for a leader to positionally or personally influence others' attitudes or behaviors towards a specific result or goal. So
Mm-hmm.
we are learning how to influence others to reach a specific goal. That's specifically what authentic power is. Second thing, understand that you can own your authentic power. And there are 6 places where you can own it. You can own it through your position as far as a leader. You can own it to reward others as a leader. You can learn how to correct others as a leader. You can own your power through your expertise, through your character, and spiritually with your relationship with God. Those are 6 areas that you can own your authentic power, individually or collectively, however you want to do so. The next thing I would do, watch out for those power zappers, and we've exhausted that pretty much. And the third thing is to exercise your authentic power skills, and one of them is influence, learning how to influence others so that you can reach a specific goal or result.
Okay, I understood. What was the third one? You said, oh dear.
Expertise.
Expertise, exactly. How can I in a practical way, how can I implement that?
Excellent question, Nancy. The best way to implement your expertise is to know what you know. That sounds a little corny, I know, but know what you know what knowledge that you have, and know that that knowledge is power.
So if I understood that, then a second one would be know your knowledge, and don't downplay it, step up in the place where it's needed, and then let your light shine, let the talent or the gift applied where necessary.
Absolutely. Know that your knowledge is valuable. Whatever you know, if you know how to be a great admin, great vice president, small business owner, knowing how to set up a computer, whatever the case may be, knowledge is power, and you have the right to boast in that and own it.
Brilliant. Okay, well, our last question. You're an author, and I saw some great quotes when I was reading your profile. Actually, I think it was your Twitter feed or something. Do you have a favorite quote or favorite book, Karlyn?
That is a good question. I have several that are floating in my mind right now.
The top one.
One thing that comes to my mind, and I can't off the top of my head find out where this scripture is, but one thing that King David said, that I am wiser than my teachers because I learned from their mistakes. And that is something that I just really live by. It is my personal mantra, because if someone else makes a mistake, I don't have to make it. I can just learn from their mistakes. So that is something that I just really hold near and dear to my heart. And so that's why I've written this book, I Own My Power Now, is because I will share my mistakes and other people can learn from them, and then they can excel and quantum leap their learning process so that they won't have to make the mistakes I've made.
Brilliant. That's great. I'll be looking forward to that book. Hopefully I can even get an autographed copy. It will be available, I guess, all over where books are sold, and Amazon. I mean, I'm in Germany, but hey, today with the e-commerce, you can get anything anywhere.
Absolutely. And yes, you would definitely get an autographed copy, Nancy.
Okay. Brilliant. Karlyn, what is the best way that listeners can connect with you? What is the best way that somebody can actually find you?
They definitely can connect with me on my website, and that's at Poimena.com. And there I really have a newsletter that I send out monthly, and it is full of wonderful leadership tips for men and women. And it is a great way for that I can connect with women and, like I said, leaders specifically, to help them to not only own their power, but other topics around leadership as well. I can be on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, of course.
All right, great. I'll have that on the show notes as well. Karlyn, can people actually pre-order your book or get a peek into that? Is there a link or something that we can kind of take a little look of what we can expect, your expertise, and is that opportunity available?
It is not available now. It will be available January 2015, and then shortly after that, the book will be released. But if they sign up for my e-newsletter, they will definitely be notified.
Oh, great. Because sometimes you hear something good and then life happens and you think there was this book I wanted to get in 2015. When was that and which month was that? That's perfect. Great. Well, wish you all the best with the book. Looking forward to that. And thank you so very much, Karlyn, for sharing your expertise and ways that we can own our power now. It's not someday, it's now.
Yes, now.
I like that. I like the now bit, because you can own your power. One day I'm going to do it, but the now makes it, it's present. It's it's like faith. Now faith is. I love that. Karlyn, appreciate your time and looking forward to your book and all the best.
Thank you, Nancy. It has been a pleasure sharing with you and your audience about owning your authentic power, and I do encourage everyone to do just that. Own your power today.
All right, then. We surely will, starting with me. All right, then. Well, I'll talk to you soon, Karlyn. God bless you, and thank you so much again for your time. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for the invitation.
Okay, then. Bye-bye, Karlyn.
Bye-bye.